This first example we're going to do is we're going to show what happens when you have factoring of a common factor that needs to come out. So a squared x minus b squared x, they both share an x, so we're going to pull an x out. Whoops, a squared minus b squared. And then the bottom has a y. And then what I'm going to look at is where do I have to factor? I need to factor on the numerator, so a squared minus b squared is actually a minus b and a plus b. And I'm going to rewrite my fractions over here. So I have an x in front, y in front, b minus a on the bottom, and then a minus b and a plus b. What I have again is I have values from the multiplying rational expressions where they are nearly identical but they're opposites. So a minus b and b minus a are almost identical but they are opposites. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the top numerator as -1 times b minus a. And the reason for that is, once again, I had a negative b, I changed to a positive b, and by doing that I took out a -1, I took out the opposite. So that allows me to have something that's the same that can cancel out. So I'm left with -1 times x, which is negative x, times a plus b all over y. And that's my final answer. This first example is a monomial with division. And so when you do dividing of fractions, you keep, change, flip. So you keep, you change, you flip. So we're going to keep 12x cubed y over 13ab squared, change to multiplication, and then switch my fraction or flip the reciprocal. 36xy cubed, because when you divide fractions, you're actually multiplying by the reciprocal, and that's why we keep, change, flip. So now what I look at is what can I cancel out? Whoops. I have a b, which will cancel out with one of these, 2. I have a y on top, which will cancel out with one of the 3 y's on bottom, so that's still squared. And then I have this x that's going to cancel out with one of these 3 and leave me 2. So variable-wise, I'm left with an x squared on top, all over an a b, and an x squared. So y squared, misspoke. So fraction-wise, what I like to do, is I like to cancel things out. So this 13 cancels out with 26 and leaves me 2. This 12 cancels with this 36 and leaves me 3, and then I see that 2 and 3 can't simplify, so I put a 2 and a 3. Or what you can do is you can take 12 times 26, enter, 13 times 36, enter, 3, 1, 12 divided by 468, math 1, enter, and you can get your fraction that way. Alright, on the back of your notes, you have 3 fraction problems, or 2 fraction problems, and then they're all division problems. So we're going to keep, change, flip, and as I do that, I also like to factor. So if I can have common denominators or common factors that can be factored, I want to pull out the greatest common factor, so I'm going to go 3a squared minus 2a plus 1, and this has a 4 and an a plus b. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor and flip at the same time. So a squared minus 1 factors down to a minus 1 and a plus 1, and then that 4 times a plus b. Over here I have a squared minus b squared. I'm going to factor that out. That's a minus b, a plus b, and a squared minus 2a plus 1 factors down into a minus 1 and a minus 1. And then what I do is, as multiplication, from the multiplication video, is this is just one big fraction. So anything that's on the top, when you multiply, gets times by other things. So anything on the left will get times with the values on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out what's the same. So a minus 1 cancels with a minus 1, but only one of them. And a plus b cancels with a plus b. So I am left with, on the top, a minus b, parentheses, and a plus 1, along with 3 times 4, which is 12, times a minus 1. And that's it. So with the fractions that are down below for j and k, they're the same thing. This is a monomial and this is a multi. It's a polynomial with a binomial, and it's just more complicated. So we're going to go a cubed b cubed divided by x y to the 4th times, and we're going to flip the second one, x squared y a squared b, and items that are the same on the top that are on the bottom can get canceled out. So this b cancels out with one of those. This x cancels with one of those. This y cancels out with one of those. A squared, there's 2, cancels out with 2 of these, so that leaves me one a. So that leaves me with a b squared x over y cubed. And last but not least, we have 4x over x plus 6 times, I'm going to rewrite it and put x squared minus 3x down here, and x squared plus 3x minus 18. I did my keep, change, flip, and now I need a factor. The values on the left cannot be simplified. This x is plus 6, so you cannot cancel them out. Over here I do need a factor, so I'm going to go 4x over x plus 6. It's going to be times, on the bottom, x squared minus 3x is shared factor of x, so x minus 3 is left over when you plot an x. And the factor is negative 18 that added to be 3 is going to be an x plus 6 and an x minus 3. Anything that is the same gets canceled out, so you have x plus 6, x plus 6, x minus 3, x minus 3, and then I have this x that cancels with this x, so my final answer is just the value of 4.